Hello, welcome to the video notes I should say, for lesson 2.4. This is all about using the distributive property to solve equations with fractions, part 1. So yes, you guessed it, there will be a part 2 to come. Our target is I can use the distributive property to solve equations with fractions. Now for some people, fractions can be a challenge. So I'm going to show you in this video a different strategy that some of you may like, and certainly if you like it, understand it, and can do it, then you may want to use this to help you with solving equations that have fractions in them. Alright, so we're looking at page 15 in your notes packet, and I'm going to move this down so we can see everything. We have two methods here. The first method is step-by-step. Basically, it's what we've done already with solving equations. The other method is using the distributive property. So let's walk through this example. We're going to use the same example 2 times, 2 different methods. We've got 3/4 n plus 3 equals 12. So we have a fraction in this problem. So the step-by-step method is, first I subtract 3 from both sides, bring down the 3/4 n, equals, and then 12 minus 3 is 9. Now some of you may say, okay, well, I like to just deal with this one at a time. So first thing I'm going to do is undo dividing by 4 by multiplying both sides by 4. And that's fine. So we still have 3 over 1 times n, or 3n, equals 36. And then divide both sides by 3. And you get n equals 12. And yes, a check would usually be the next thing we would do, but this is just an example to show the method. So I'm going to skip the check just for this demonstration. Okay, but we will do the check when we solve the examples on the next page. Now we're going to do this using the distributive property. And the distributive property says, okay, let's multiply both sides of the equation, or the entire equation, by whatever our denominator is. So in this case, it's 4. So I'm going to multiply everything that I have by 4. 4 times 3/4 n, the 4's cancel, and I get 3n. 4 times 3 is 12, so plus 12. Equals 4 times 12 is 48. Alright, so now I just solve this the way I would any other multi-step problem. Minus 12, minus 12. And then 3n equals 36. Divide by 3. Now some of you may say, well, that's basically doing the same thing. Yeah, but no, it's not. Fractions can be a little tricky sometimes, and these are obviously more simple examples. There are going to be much more challenging examples, so having some different strategies is always a good thing. Alright, so let's look at the next problem. We're going to do the same thing, 2 different strategies. So first one, the step-by-step. Now this time, instead of first I'll add 1 to both sides like we would, and then I'll bring down the 2 over 3n equals 8. Now another strategy for dealing with fractions is to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. And I know I've talked about that before, because if you multiply by the reciprocal, the numerators and the denominators almost like cancel out. How about this? 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, 6 over 6 is 1n, or just n. And then over on this side, we have 3 over 2 times 8. So 3 times 8 is 24, divided by 2 is 12. Now, what I like about this is it gets right to the final answer. But again, let's try the distributive property and see what happens. So I'll draw my line down through the equal sign, so I know to do The same thing on both sides. Multiply through this entire fraction by 3. And the 3's cancel here, so you get 2n minus 3 equals 21. Add 3 to both sides. And I think what's nice about this is, see, over here in the first method, I ended up having to deal with a fraction by multiplying by the reciprocal. In this case over here, essentially, I get rid of fractions altogether. And for some of you, that might be a really good thing. I do want you to be able to handle doing math with fractions. But if you can do something, a step in solving equations that makes it easier, especially if you have a number that's a fraction that's difficult to deal with, then that, like I said, is always a good thing. Okay, so let's turn to the next page. We have 2 examples. We're going to use both strategies, and we're going to solve, and we'll do one check at the end, just to make sure that it works. Okay, so first step is the step-by-step method. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. I get 5x over 6 equals negative 5. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by 6, or you can multiply by the reciprocal. I think that makes the most sense. But negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. Divide both sides by 5, and you get x equal to negative 6. Easy peasy. Now we're going to do the distributive property. Multiply everything by 6, and you get 5x plus 6 equals negative 24. Subtract 6 from both sides. 5x equals negative 30. Divide by 5. And you get x equal to negative 6. Alright, so we got the same answer both times. Really quick, let's do a super fast check. E. Rewrite the original equation, 5x over 6 plus 1 equals negative 4. Substitute your value in, so 5 times negative 6 over 6 plus 1 equals negative 4. So we get negative 30 divided by 6 plus 1 equals negative 4. And then we get negative 5 plus 1 equals negative 4. And negative 4 equals negative 4. So it checks beautifully. Nice job. We're all done. If you had trouble understanding anything you saw in today's video, please do not hesitate to come see me or ask a friend for help. Before the video ends, if you'd like to earn a point on your scoreboard, you could bring up in math class that you saw the whole video all the way to the end, and that I reminded you when you do the check to rewrite the original equation. That's all for now. I'll see you in there.